Coming up, the 10th anniversary of a deadly tornado outbreak.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. On March 2nd, 2012, so many Kentucky communities were devastated by a historic and deadly tornado outbreak. 10 years later, the damage, the loss, and the fear are still fresh in everyone's minds. Salyersville, Magoffin County was one of the hardest hit areas. Tonight, first responders and neighbors took time to reflect on that terrifying night. Chad Hedrick joins us from Salyersville with how one man is recalling a night he says he doesn't know how he survived.
10 years ago, this part of Salyersville, known as Restaurant Row, was unrecognizable after that EF3 tornado touched down just after 7 o'clock here. And in that 10 years since, everyone has picked up the pieces, but they haven't forgotten that fateful night.
At 7:02 p.m., the sirens were blaring through Salyersville. In those moments, time stood still as this community reflected on the same moment in time a decade ago.
You can't get over it. You never get over it.
Gregory Vanderpool says March 2nd, 2012 seems like it was yesterday. He still remembers every second of that terrifying night.
I got down in between on the ground and covered my head up, and all along I kept, it ain't going to happen. About that time the rumble again, I felt my trailer come off the ground. As soon as it come off the ground, it disintegrated, and I was out in the air.
Gregory came to about 100 feet from where his home once stood. His arm shattered, but he was alive.
When that happened, I should have died because I lost everything I had. A brand new truck upside down, my home was gone. They found the dog the next day up on the hill, he's still alive.
It's hard for Gregory to think about that night. He had no intentions of coming to watch as first responders marked the 10-year anniversary of a night they will never forget.
I had no intentions of being here because I don't want to bring it up and talk about it, but I can't. I had to come out here. So there's people here that I know that helped me that night.
Grateful to be alive and in a community that is so resilient to shine bright in a time of darkness.
We're lucky.
Thankfully, no one died in the tornado that night here in Salyersville. And while this area was destroyed, downtown Salyersville itself was spared from significant damage. In Salyersville, Chad Hedrick, WKYT.
In 2016, the city of Salyersville bought 2 storm shelters for the city and installed 3 tornado sirens. Near the end of Restaurant Row, you will find several homes that were not spared from that damage. Patricia Patrick's family lives in a home next to the Howard family. Both homes were hit during the Salyersville storm and have since been rebuilt from the ground up. During the rebuilding and in the 10 years since the tornado, Patrick says her family still fears the possibilities, but they rebuilt in a way that makes them feel a bit safer.
I don't worry too much now because we've got a shelter. When we built our other building back, we put a shelter back in the hill with solid concrete. So we've got a protection now for anybody.
With that shelter and the county's tornado sirens that were installed, families like the Patricks say it is a little easier to feel safe moving forward. Magoffin County schools were among those participating in the statewide tornado drill this morning. One was Salyersville Grade School. The facility was heavily damaged during the tornado outbreak in 2012. Principal Gary Helton says the tornado affected several schools in the district.
I mean, middle school is no longer across the street from us. We now have a baseball and softball field that, you know, you're reminded of that. And we also have a new high school. When you drive by, you're reminded that's, you know, a product of a tornado.
Helton says the kids who are too young to remember the tornado did well during today's drill. Several people died 10 years ago when a tornado hit Laurel County. In East Bernstadt, the crisis management was handled by Albert Hale, the Laurel County Emergency Management Director. Hale says he was driving towards London when the tornado touched down nearby. He rallied local fire departments and emergency personnel to respond as soon as the coast was clear.
There'd only been one person killed in Laurel County due to a tornado. up to this point.
5 people in the East Bernstead area would die that night, with one other person dying from their injuries some days later. Nearly 400 homes were destroyed. Johnson County was also hit hard that night. Officials say nearly 400 homes were either damaged or destroyed there too, and dozens were injured. 2 teens also died. One Johnson County official said nobody expected something like this in the mountains of eastern Kentucky.
It came as a surprise, but in another way, I was, and I think a lot of people was kind of expecting something. But I guess we really didn't anticipate it was going to be as severe as it was.
Now the areas that were damaged have recovered, but officials say some families are still dealing with what happened financially and emotionally. Well, the town of West Liberty was virtually destroyed 10 years ago. We talked with a survivor there about the impact those storms had on her. Doris Shuck was home alone when the storm hit. She says it lasted about 3 minutes. Thankfully, she was able to escape from the debris unharmed. She was later reunited with her family, but says that day is still haunting.
It was so sad and hard for me to say, we no longer live at 644 Liberty Road. I need to do a change of address. That was very hard. I can remember being tearful several times when I had to do that.
And get this, Doris posted on Facebook 10 years ago tonight, quote, "I am alive. Lindsay and Richard are with me. Austin, call me. My house is gone." The tornado that hit West Liberty had peak winds of 140 miles per hour.
This night 10 years ago, a powerful reminder that wherever conditions are correct and there, tornadoes can form, whether it's in the mountains of eastern Kentucky or out in the plain states. Even this time of year, as long as the ingredients are there, tornadoes are possible. And that's exactly what we saw 10 years ago tonight. As for tonight, all is quiet. We've had no inclement weather to discuss. It was a beautiful day today. I-64 at Moorhead, you see all traffic moving smoothly on the interstate this evening. Downtown Whitesburg, all quiet as well. Down Main Street, upper 40s right now. Some of us a little bit on the warmer side. That's where we were today. Middle and upper 60s for daytime highs around much of the area. Low 70s in some spots. Look at Jacksboro, got up to 73. Temperatures even at this hour, Jackson's still knocking on 60's door. Moorhead's above that at 61, and it's 60 in Prestonsburg. Many of us, though, middle and upper 50s at this hour. A few showers trying to move into the far northern parts of the region. However, for the most part, those are not reaching the ground. It's a bit too dry outside, but those clouds could keep things a little bit slightly milder as we head into the nighttime hours. Low and middle 40s out there for overnight lows tonight under mostly clear skies. Turning partly cloudy toward daybreak. I'll have the latest on when showers could return to the forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. Many of you have complained about outrageous power bills this winter, but you might get a little relief this month. Kentucky Power officials say the company used November's energy use to calculate its January fuel adjustment factor, which is reported to the Kentucky Public Service Commission to determine pricing. The amount collected ended up being more than the amount needed. We are told the overcharged amount will be returned to customers this month. Kentucky State Police announced the arrest of a police officer as part of a rape investigation dating back to 2020. Dustin T. Watkins of McCreary County was recently served an indictment warrant. He is an officer with the Transylvania Police Department. He was serving as a McCreary County Sheriff's deputy at the time of the alleged rape. Watkins is charged with rape and was taken to the Whitley County Detention Center. The search for a missing man in Leslie County has ended. The body of a 39-year-old man believed to have been involved in a car accident in the Greasy Creek area was discovered yesterday afternoon. Officials thanked all the agencies and community members who helped in the search. The victim's name has not been released. Officials say the man's mother was also injured in the accident. After nearly 4 years of trying to find a missing man in Leslie County, we learned today that a rapid DNA test helped identify the remains of 27-year-old Tyler North. Police began an investigation in June of 2018. In October of 2020, Human remains were brought to the Leslie County Sheriff's Office that were discovered. In September of 2020, 2 suspects were arrested in connection to his disappearance. Tyler's former wife, Lena Michelle Collett North, and her boyfriend, former Leslie County Sheriff's Deputy Jeremy Lewis. Police say their trial is set for later this year. Firefighters with the Stearns Ranger District conducted the Brushy Creek prescribed burn in McCreary County today. This burn was designed to reduce forest fuel levels and improve wildlife habitat on more than 1,000 acres. As a reminder, police say there is still a burn ban in effect between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. through April 30th. Higher temperatures, wind, and lower humidity during these times can make even small fires burn out of control. Also, any fires between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. must be supervised. The Williamsburg Police Department posted on its Facebook page this afternoon about a man in the area who they say is on the run. Rodney S. Richardson is wanted for drug trafficking and illegal use of a firearm. If you see him or know where he could be, you're asked to call police. Deputies in Pulaski County arrested a man who they say had nearly $50,000 worth of drugs on him. They arrested 43-year-old Jason Woods last night as part of an ongoing drug investigation. Deputies went to a home on Providence Road to assist the FBI in executing a federal indictment on Woods. The deputy said it took around 1 hour to arrest him. Today, Attorney General Daniel Cameron announced that he is co-leading a nationwide investigation into TikTok. Cameron claims that TikTok provides and promotes its social media platform to children and young adults, claiming that it causes physical and mental health harms. Attorneys General nationwide are examining whether the company violated state consumer protection laws. A hearing for Bob Baffert in Franklin County Circuit Court was pushed back today. The Courier-Journal reports the hearing was to consider a stay in a 90-day suspension of Baffert imposed by the stewards of the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission. That suspension is now delayed until at least March 17th. A final decision will then be made on March 21st. Baffert's attorneys are trying to overturn the suspension and the disqualification of Medina Spirit. The Housing Development Alliance is continuing its mission of providing Eastern Kentuckians affordable housing by adding another home in Knott County's Emelina community. Officials with the HDA say this home is being built for a single mother and her kids. But the executive director of the HDA, Scott McReynolds, says their mission does not end here. He says the Alliance plans to build 1,000 homes in a 10-year span.
So in the first 25 years we existed, we served 1,000 families, and between homeownership and homeowner rehab and rental. And we realized that that wasn't enough, and so we made a commitment to serve the next 1,000 families in just 10 years. So we're in the middle of that. We're about year 3, making some good progress.
The Housing Development Alliance not only serves Knott County, but Perry, Leslie, and Breathitt counties as well. The Wolfe County Search and Rescue Team is offering tips to stay safe on the trails ahead of this warm weekend ahead. Public Information Officer Drew Stevens says there are several ways you can better prepare yourself before you hit the trails. That includes making sure you have the right materials, water, a light source, and layers of clothing.
With increased visitation to the Red River Gorge, oftentimes trailheads are crowded or overfull, and you might have to change your plans for the day. So maybe have a plan of where you want to hike and then a backup plan in case that place doesn't work out.
Stevens also says it's important to let someone know where you are going and for how long in case something unexpected does happen. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, it's tax season and scammers are standing by ready to take your money. How one man dodged an IRS-related scam.
And beautiful weather continues tonight, tomorrow, and into the weekend. I'll have the very latest on the way next.